It has been a little bit of a crazy morning. I'm so sorry for those of you who were here with me earlier. I was here and then it cut out, and then it looks like okay, no, okay, we're good. It was here and it got cut out, and then I thought I was still going on Instagram, but I wasn't. So anyway, here we are. Thank you so much for joining. This masterclass is all about the secret to stop getting screwed over. So, if you are someone who is getting screwed over, you feel like you are constantly by friends or by coworkers or your boss or your lovers or whomever, and you're not sure what's going on. You understand that you're the common denominator, but you feel like that it's something to do with other people. Yes, other people are definitely playing a role in screwing you over, but we also have some responsibility for ourselves. So we're going to talk about what that is, why this keeps happening, and what you can do about it. So if you grow up in a home where your caretaker or the adults around you are highly anxious, or they don't know how to soothe themselves emotionally, they are dependent on other people for that. Sorry, let me get the camera right. They're dependent on other people for a sense of connection. Like they're not connected to themselves. They're constantly needing other people to validate them. They don't really trust themselves. If you as a kid pick up on that, and as kids, we have to have connection for survival. It literally is life or death. So if you're in a home where you're not really being seen for who you are, there's not a genuine sense of connection. And this isn't about blame, this is just about understanding that our caretakers had their own background and their own trauma, that they just weren't able to fully show up for us. Then we have to have a connection to survive. So what we do is we figure out how to connect with other people. We figure out, okay, if my mom, let's say it's mom, if mom is really anxious and upset and a little volatile, if I comfort her or take care of her, then she calms down and then I feel safe and okay. Right? So we figure out what we need to do as kids in order to create safety in our environment. So it could be that you start taking care of your younger brother and sister, or you start doing lots of chores around the house, or you start being a good listening ear for your mom or your dad, so that they have somebody who can comfort them and love on them, and what you provide for them soothes them. It soothes their anxiety, and so you feel safe in your environment. So what happens is when we grow up, we learn that connection with other people is about what we can do for them, how we can take care of them, how we don't develop the skill set of really knowing who we are and how to express who we are. It's not safe to express who we are, right? So I can't express who I am because if I do, then that need is not going to be met, and that sting of rejection is so strong that we can't tolerate feeling that feeling. So um, again, we have a highly anxious caretaker, doesn't know how to take care of themselves and self-soothe. We learn how to do that. So now when we grow up and we're adults, we repeat the same pattern because we haven't developed a skill set of knowing who we are and how to express who we are. So we develop the pattern also of overgiving and overpleasing and being sure the people around us are taken care of, or we don't trust ourselves, we don't trust our decision making skills, and we need other people to do it for us. So we repeat the pattern. We either become like the caretaker or we become the soother, right? And so um, both perspectives are highly anxious, and it's sort of like a language that we speak. So when you show up at a job interview and the leader of that organization is insecure, doesn't really know who they are, is very much performance based, and expects all employees to be very caretaking of everyone else, then you will show up, and it's a language that you understand. It's a language that you speak well, right? You know how to outperform and overgive and not set boundaries at work, and so you feel comfortable there. And so you take the job, and it works out great because your skill sets that you provide is comforting and soothing to the employer, and the way the employer receives what you have to offer and doesn't have the skill set to really invest in you as a person, this is a language that you both speak, and so it feels very comfortable. The same is true in friendships and in romantic relationships. Um, you don't know who you are, and it definitely doesn't feel safe trying to express who you are because you've learned that that is not something that's of value from the people in your early years. So if you were to connect with somebody who really saw you for who you are, that would actually feel unsafe to you. What feels safest to us is for us to show up as what we can do for somebody, or the picture of a perfect girlfriend or boyfriend, and we create a dynamic where we feel safe because we can hide behind what we can do. And somebody who wants to receive what we can do for them because that soothes their anxiety about not being sure who they are, it creates this instant bond, and it feels really good and really soothing for all of our anxieties, right? So what feels like is healthy and good is actually just a really unhealthy dynamic of soothing each other's anxieties and taking care of each other when neither party is actually showing up authentically. When we have something that soothes anxiety, it's a drug. And we become addicted to having these things that we do and these things that we say that are anxiety soothing rather than being authentic and real. And what, like any drug, you need more and more, right? It's soothing and comforting initially, but then over time, it starts to break down because just like with any other drug, you have to have more. And so we shift to somebody else. So if you have a history of a lot of broken friendships where you have really intense, amazing friendships, but then they fall apart. That could be true also with lovers. You have really intense, amazing connections with lovers, but then it falls apart. Or you have a job, if you're somebody who doesn't hold a job for more than a year or two at a time, then these are all red flags for you that you don't know how to show up authentically, that you show up as this curated version of yourself that feels safe to you, but then it always breaks down over time because it's not sustainable. An authentic relationship is multidimensional. You're able to fully be who you are. So the way it breaks down over time is you get burnt out from giving and giving and giving and giving, and then the person receiving thinks it's amazing in the beginning, but then they want more. They're like, that's not quite enough because the the currency of the relationship and the way it was set up was designed for them taking and you giving and nothing more, right? So as you start to burn out and you want to change the dynamic, they're like, no, that's not the agreement that we made, right? So let me check my notes real fast. We think intimacy is this intense bond. That's actually not what intimacy is. So I'm going to move to that in just a second. So let's talk a little bit about what the language of real connection looks like and feels like. So if you only know how to show up for what you can provide for other people, then it feels really unsafe and really scary to show up in any other way. It feels really unsafe. So if you show up to a place of employment where there's a really healthy dynamic, where the boss wants to invest in employees as people and help them develop and grow their sense of self, if you go there and you only know how to show up for what you can do and not for who you are, then you're going to feel unsafe in that place of employment. You're not going to connect with that boss because that's a totally different language that you don't understand, right? Even though it may seem appealing to you, we don't understand what life is. Okay, looks like my connection is breaking down again. Now I've lost my train of thought. Oh yes, so you're at this place of employment It's actually a really healthy, dynamic environment, but you don't know, have a solid sense of self and who you are. So you walk away from that interview feeling like, this isn't right. This is not safe. I don't really like this. Um, but actually, that's what healthy is. You just don't know it because you don't speak that language. It doesn't feel safe to you. So, what can we do about this? We have to start with developing a strong sense of self, with understanding who we are. And the way we do that is we have to pull back from our drug. So if you're an overgiver and an overpleaser, then you have to pull back and stop engaging with people in what you can do for people, right? And that initially feels like a foreign concept because it's all we know. And honestly, we don't even realize that that's the only way that we show up for people. So it's really important to kind of pull back and evaluate. If you're somebody who likes other people to tell you that you're okay, to soothe your anxiety and to make sure that you feel safe and okay, the step one is being able to sit with your anxiety without asking somebody else to comfort you, right? And for those of us who are pleasers, step one is sitting with our anxiety of we're okay just with ourselves. Not and then I feel empty. Then I feel like I'm not enough. This addiction to getting people telling me that I'm okay to try and soothe that feeling that's already there. But in order for us to really shift getting screwed over by other people and having true, genuine, authentic connections, we have to stop the hits, which is so hard. And the reason it's hard, and I can tell you I've spent quite a bit of time in this space, is life feels boring. It feels pointless. It feels just like an addict who stops doing drugs or stops drinking alcohol. It feels terrible. You don't like it. You don't want to do it. It feels boring. Life is not exciting anymore, right? So this is why we struggle to make it through this phase because we equate healthy with boring. And many of us are like, no, I would rather not live a boring life. I don't like this. But there is beauty and magic in holding space for that feeling and sitting with what you know is true. Want to overcome. Once you work through this space of how uncomfortable you feel, then is when you really start to understand and really start to incorporate this different sets of really magically dynamic, incredible connectedness and love like you didn't even know. You don't know what you don't know right now. If you've never felt that, then it does feel foreign, and honestly it feels scary probably for a lot of us. I know it did for me because it felt like I still felt like the little child where it was literally life or death. If I were to expose my needs, they would have been rejected, and that would have been death to me as a kid. And so then now as adult, when I expose who I am, I still have that little child reaction of that's death to me. It's not anymore. We're adults and we're resourced and we can take care of ourselves. So it's a matter of kind of exposure therapy, of starting to get to know who we are and feel free to express it. So for me, I'll just say for my personal example, it was a long time before I could express my needs. At first, I just had to sit with knowing what they are. I had to sit with understanding um, what it is I like. What is my favorite color? What is my favorite meal? What is my favorite time to go to bed? What is my, simple little things that I had never developed because I didn't have the opportunity to as a kid, and I didn't know I needed to as an adult. I genuinely thought as long as everybody around me is happy, then I'm happy, right? But then I went to bed with this empty feeling inside, no sense of passion. If you're lacking passion in your life, then this is where you will find it, is when you're willing to sit in the really uncomfortable feeling of vacancy and allow yourself to grow and develop from that vacancy. But it's true nurturing sense of self and who you are. So what a healthy relationship looks like is you walk in, you meet somebody, you're fully grounded in who you are, you feel free expressing who you are, this person also feels free expressing who they are, and you get to know each other. It's not intense right away. It's not this addictive bond that happens. It is a slow burn. It is a slow process of understanding who you are, and oh, this person really is safe, this person is okay, and then you share a little bit more of your heart, and they share a little bit more of their heart, and then over time you get to know each other and you feel connected and you feel fully seen and you feel fully heard, and then you can create the picture of what that relationship looks like long term. This is true in romantic relationships and this is true in friendships. But we feel like, because we're so used to that initial addictive intensity that's anxiety soothing, we think that if we don't feel that right away, this must not be the friendship for us, or this must not be healthy. Actually, the healthiest relationships are slow connections where you get to know each other, and then you develop a sense of self together, but you still have a full sense of identity by yourself, and so do they, because that's what's healthy. So if you walk into a place of employment that operates this way, that's really healthy and grounded, and everyone feels like they can fully actualize who they are, if you are safe with yourself and you know how to express who you are, this is magnetizing to you. This feels good to you and you want to be there, right? And you understand that this is healthy. However, if you walk, like I said before, into a place of employment and you don't know who you are and you feel exposed if you're asked to express who you are, then you're going to feel like that's an unhealthy place, even though it's healthy, because you don't know how to, you don't want to be exposed. You don't want to be fully exposed as who you are. So it can be really tricky initially to navigate for these reasons, because of the unhealthy patterns that existed. They actually feel healthy to you even though they break down over time. So use that as your gauge, is okay, I must need to maybe rethink some of these things, because every friendship I have or everywhere I work, it always breaks down. After a couple of years, it's always bad. I always feel taken advantage of. I'm burned out. They don't really understand me. They don't see me. They don't want to get to know me. They just want what I have to offer. If those thoughts are coming to you, it's not okay for them to take advantage of you, but you're showing up in a way that sets yourself up for this to happen a year or 2 years down the line. Versus showing up in relationships and places of employment as your true authentic self, with nothing to prove and nothing to hide. You're just yourself. Then you will slowly get to know them. They'll slowly get to know you. Trust will be built. But by the time there's a true, genuine, authentic friendship connection, you feel like your heart is fully seen and heard, and they feel the same way. And that's what healthy actually is and what it looks like. It just doesn't have that intense hit of addiction that many of us are used to. Okay, I hope you found this helpful. A place to start, like I said, is getting to know yourself. If you don't feel safe expressing yourself, totally understandable. I didn't for a long time. So the first place to start is just getting to know who am I? What do I actually really love? Not what does my religion tell me that I love, not what is my culture or my parents or anyone else tell me that I need and that I love, but who am I actually? Get to know that person, and then start practicing with people that you feel safest with expressing those needs and wants. And some people in your life, sadly, are not going to have it, because they are still speaking the language I give to them, and then I try to rearrange the understanding of what our relationship was about, and they're not into it, then that's on them. That's not about me. It hurts, and I have to acknowledge that it hurts, but that's on them. That's not on me. But then start creating those organic relationships where there really is connection, and allow space for the slow burn, right? But that means we have to be able to manage our anxiety and be confident in who we are. Because our anxiety, if we get anxious about needing to be sure that we're okay, needing to be sure that somebody likes us, then we're going to step into overgiving, overpleasing, and not revealing our true, organic, authentic self, right? We have to be able to manage our anxiety and our sense of self so that we can allow space for somebody else to get to know our heart, and we can get to know if they're trustworthy with our heart or not. All right, so if you have grown up in a home or in a way that there was no sense at all, no sense of self, no sense of being able to express who you are, then it's going to take some help in order to be able to get through these initial stages. So take this to your therapist, talk through it with your therapist. If you want to set up a call with me, I'm happy to have a chat. There's a link in the comments here. You can set up a chat with me. I'd be happy to talk through it with you, help you figure out next steps. I can do one-on-one counseling sessions with you. I also have a program that I've developed, a 90-day program that is all about you understanding who you are and how to express it to the world. So by the end of the 90 days, you'll have a strong sense of self, and you'll have tools in your tool belt to be able to express that person in the world around you, and how to look for those safe connections with other people. Guys, for jumping on. Like I said, it's been a insane morning, but we got through it. Thank you guys for watching. Feel free to connect with me in the comments or on a chat, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye. All right, there's that one.